Junction is the public venue that focuses on Southeast Asia. So normally it's a reading room where people can come and read our books here and have a coffee eventually and check the internet. Also on Southeast Asia we have many resources, but also we have events all related to Southeast Asia, the various aspects. So from arts, culture to politics, as far as possible, economics, etc. Now today we are going to focus on the Greater Mekong sub-region and in particular on the special economic zone. These have become more and more important for the region since I think about the 90s or mid-90s. And it seems to be particularly successful in the Mekong mainland Southeast Asia more than in the area related to peninsular Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. So this is quite crowded. I think what will become very clear in this presentation is quite crowded with this special economic zone and particularly around Thailand, but not only around Thailand. So we are very honored to have three very distinguished speakers. Hello, Ben. So the first one, she will provide a general picture of the situation, so not only the special economic zone, but how the special economic zone fits within a broader context. It's Shalmali Gattal, sorry for the pronunciation, and she is from the focus on the Global South. After that, we will have Charlie Tain, and he is actually the initiator of this event here, since he has been involved in the production of this report, which was produced by the Global South, but actually I think he was one of the authors of those reports, and he presented already in Myanmar, and so this is a presentation in Thailand. And then, last but not least, we have editorial director of Air Thailand. So she again will discuss the special economic zone, especially in Thailand, if I understand correctly. So we will start without further ado, please.
Yes,
you can stay there. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is going to broadcast live on our page, so those who are not here will also be able to follow.
Thank you, Leah, and thank you to everybody who organized this. It's a pleasure to be here. I really focus on the Global South. Our office is in Chulalongkorn University in the Social Research Institute. And what we do is sort of a grounded analysis on policies and impacts of different types of trends. And I can tell you more about our organization later. You can find it on the website. No? Now, we've been monitoring and research investment trends in the Mekong region for many, many years. And let me just give you a very quick and broad overview of some of the things that we're seeing. First thing on the issue of investment. Investment is a very complex package of issues. There are many, many things in investment. It's not quite so simple to, it's not a simple thing to judge as good or bad. And investment in and of itself is not a bad thing. Investment, public investment in infrastructure and goods and services, these are absolutely vital for public interest, for good healthcare, for people's well-being and for building societies and for safeguarding our future. But that's not the kind of investment I would like to discuss with you. What we've seen in our research is that the very nature of investment is changing. And a few, shall I say, not defining, a few salient characteristics of this change that we're seeing in investment. One is this massive surge in large-scale investment programs and projects. And all of them involve physical infrastructure in one way or another. Some people call them mega projects, but some people call them large infrastructure projects. But one way or another, we're seeing it's almost like we've entered a new era since the last 5 or 6 years in massive large infrastructure projects, which is kind of ironic because here's the time that we're talking about a deeply private crisis, right? And saying how we have to change the way we do development and the sustainable development, blah, blah. But here we're seeing this resurgence in infrastructure development and mega infrastructure. So it's a Now, another defining feature, of course, of investment would be the impacts. Because these mega projects are so large and they involve so many dimensions of our life, that the impacts, of course, will also be very complex. I'll go into some of the impacts a bit later. And of course, Charlie and Ben will go and talk even more deeply into those. Another defining feature, I think, about the investment climate today is actually how investment policies are reshaping our understanding of the public interest. And I say this because investment is becoming more and more privatized. So whether it's healthcare or education or a toll bridge or an airport, we're seeing more and more. And it's not just, we're not talking about local businesses. We're talking about hard series. We're talking about corporate private investment, no? So what happens is that even investment in essential services and infrastructure is becoming privatized. And public interest is increasingly articulated in the way our governments collaborate with corporate investors and those who protest against these kind of collaborations. Communities who are losing their land, workers who are fired from a job because of mergers, people in SEZs who are not allowed to, special economic zones, who are not allowed to unionize, indigenous people who want to protect the ancestral domain, even policy activists and journalists who write about these. They are criminalized, they're called anti-national, and they're called dissidents, they're called people who destabilize economies, anti-development, and so on. So this, and privatization and infrastructure investment have a lot to do with the way this is going. Another very important feature of what's happening with investment is the financing of investment, and I'll come to that in a minute. Because investments are no longer financed the way they used to in the old-fashioned, slightly more simple way of governments taking tax money, putting it into investment, adding a little bit for private banks here and there. Investment financing actually has become almost Byzantine in terms of the way the connections that happen. I'm keeping a watch on time because there's a sorry. Okay, now all these trends, of course, we're seeing in the Mekong region. And since the 1990s, the Mekong region, especially Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, they've been promoted as an investor's paradise. And in fact, the very term GMS comes from the Asian Development Bank, or it was popularized by the Asian Development Bank, because this region can be called the Mekong region for a number of reasons. The GMS stands for Greater Mekong Sub-Region Economic Program, and this is a massive infrastructure investment program that was launched by the Asian Development Bank. And it's a private investment program, more or less, underwritten by governments. Now, across this region, we're seeing that private corporate investment is being sought by governments in almost every area, whether it's agriculture, or public health, or education, manufacturing, transportation, roads, just name it. The general mantra is really corporate private investment. And the more foreign direct investment that comes in, the greater is considered the success of a country's performance and development and so on. Now, trade and investment trends in the Mekong region, they also mirror what's happening globally. No, it's not in isolation here. So, and I know Charlie is going to definitely go and give us a very good picture more deeply into some of them. So I'll just mention the first one very quickly, which is a trend of global value chain dominated production. Now, what are global value chains? Global value chains are a form in which production is fragmented and unbundled. So, for example, we can extract a resource in Cambodia, and you can bring it to an industrial processing zone at the border in Thailand. From there, whatever is processed would be sent to Singapore for further processing. It could be sent back then to the Philippines for packaging, and then sold somewhere all over, everywhere, And of course, let's not forget digital commerce now, because a lot of the finished products, especially consumer goods, are being sold digitally. So production becomes what is called unbundled, fragmented. So resources, but you see all production of goods at least even if not, even services, water services do need a resource, they need water, right? So the raw material for what is being produced still comes from nature and from human beings, because we need nature as a provider of raw materials, almost and human beings as they learn, and as the people who put things together and so on. So the raw materials are used for production, but what is left behind in that area? Little to none. And that's why very often this kind of production is called extractivism and extractivist development. And what we're seeing, especially with the production of certain types of goods and the modes of production, the types of productions, which is what special economic zones, they become almost emblematic of, is it really taking away, extracting out of natural and human capacity and leaving little behind except destruction. And so I won't go into the details because I'm going to go into that. Yeah, will you tell me when I'm up? I'm trying to monitor and I'm trying to speak as quickly as I can, but I've got 2 minutes. Oh, okay. All right, so what is that trend? Another trend that's very important to monitor is the massive amounts of money. Massive amounts of money are going into this kind of privatized investment, especially infrastructure investment. No? So if you look at just the GMS of the ADB in this region, which is basically a massive infrastructure investment program, its capitalization is $15 billion. And when I last checked the Asian Development GMS website, okay? Now, this $15 billion, the ADB says only 1/3 is coming from the Asian Development Bank's own financing. The rest of the 2/3 is supposed to be leveraged. How would it be leveraged? Leveraged for private finance. But the governments are not off the hook, because the governments will borrow from the Asian Development Bank or the World Bank, or the AIIB, the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. And then they will underwrite, they will provide sovereign guarantees to all private financing that comes in, right? So this is where the whole issue of public interest comes in. So this is just, I mean, I could give you figures on, on the Silk Road Fund, for example. All of you have heard of One Belt, One Road, no? And, or the Belt Road Initiative. Just in that, President Xi Jinping has last year committed $124 billion or more, $14.5 billion for the Silk Road Fund, $37 billion in loan from the China Development Bank, $20 billion from China Exim. But the Silk Road Fund already has a capitalization of $40 billion. And not only from China, a lot of private investors. Asia Infrastructure Development Bank, $100 billion is the initial capitalization. And they're actually having their big meeting in India now, Mumbai. And the social movements have gotten together and put up a People's Convention against infrastructure financing. So if you Google People's Convention against infrastructure financing, you'll find a lot of the results of the People's Convention. No? The BRICS Bank, you've all heard of the BRICS Bank, that has a $50 billion capitalization. And all this, a lot of this is going into mega infrastructure and infrastructure investment. And out of that, the Mekong region is being packaged and sold as a sort of paradise area for greenfield and continuing investment. So that's the scale of money that's coming. Another distinguishing feature that we have here is how policies that governments are making are quote-unquote coherent with each other. So in order to attract this kind of investment, governments are changing laws or they're making new laws, regulations, all kinds of other policies to what they call create an enabling environment. What does this include? Land acquisition, removal of labor laws, how do I put this? It's sort of relaxing labor and environmental and social standards. So basically, if the government claims eminent domain, which means public interest, greater common good, the government can acquire land from anywhere. Finish now, yeah. And yes, so basically what's happening is that we're seeing governments enacting laws and regulations to support private investors and corporate investors at the cost of people, at the cost of communities, at the cost of the environment. And a lot of the finance that's coming in has become so complex complex to trace. You can do as much follow the money as you want to, but it's very, very complex because financing comes through layers. So the International Finance Corporation of the World Bank doesn't finance intermediaries, financial intermediaries, which then lend to local investors and so on. And now private investment firms are selling infrastructure as an assets class. So assets classes, infrastructure projects are being bundled into index funds, and investment firms are selling these in financial markets. So for a community that's fighting in Hawaii, or in Phnom Penh, or in Laos, in rural Laos, can you imagine, who are they going to fight? What they see is bulldozers. They see military. They see the face of the government, right? They see police. They see a lot of people in Land Rovers or big fancy SUVs. But if we go to them and say, well, gee, we need to do shareholder activism, they're like, what? What are you talking about? Because it's so hard to figure out who is financing them. But of course, the first call for responsibility, the first port that we stop at is government. Because we expect governments to protect the people under its governance, not only to protect investors. And I mean, if there's time during the discussion, I can discuss with you some of the impacts that we have seen and we recorded in our interviews and our field work. But the last point I'd just like to leave you with is that, local communities are investors. Peasants, fisherfolk, workers, they invest. Communities invest in their societies. But these investments are not protected in any way. Instead, large-scale investments, corporate investors, they are protected. So much so that they're protected by hard law, and what communities are supposed to do is only corporate social responsibility. And of course, corporate social responsibility is important. All corporations must be responsible. But that isn't accountability. Communities that pull out a rubber tree are sent to jail because they violated private property. But a company that bulldozes tens of thousands of hectares of land, what does that get? How do local people get justice there? Why is it that workers who seem to strike or organize are beaten up, are shot because they're not allowed to unionize? But companies can cut their wages, give them dirt poor wages, and have police fire at them and they get away with it. So there's a huge imbalance here in terms of rights and democracy. I'll stop here.
Thank you. I'm sure there is a lot to talk about this topic and actually relates very well with the topic we discussed on the 19th, which was about chase by development. So how all kinds of development across Southeast Asia often lead to resettlement and forced displacement of people. Now we continue now with Charlie, please.
Thank you very much, Leah. Firstly, so just to introduce myself, my name is Charlie Tane.
Turn up the light.
My name is Charlie Tane. I teach international relations here in Bangkok at Thammasat University. I'm going to talk to you, first of all, thank you very much, Leah, for inviting us. I know this is the second year anniversary of Junction, and over the past couple of years I've come here quite frequently, and it's nice to be able to give something back, particularly on the anniversary, so thank you. We're going to talk a little bit about this report that I kind of authored and worked on with focus on the Global South over the past couple of years. So we did field work in July 2016, visiting special economic zones in Phnom Penh and in Sihanoukville in Cambodia and Dawei in Myanmar. We talked with workers and union representatives in Cambodia, with local villages, people affected by the development of both countries, as well as government officials and researchers, as well as other experts and NGO representatives and advisors to the government. And basically what we do in the report is to develop two case studies of SEZs in Cambodia and in Myanmar, and use those case studies to basically try to answer the question as well, why is it that special economic zones are being developed across the region, and who benefits from them being developed? So first off, let's kind of define, well, what is an SEZ? So SEZ is a special economic zone, is a demarcated territory within a demarcated area within a territory with special administrative rules. Now these special administrative rules are designed to be business friendly and investment friendly, which usually means bypassing or overcoming certain environmental protections or labor rights protections and providing access to land for investors with secure property tenure that they would otherwise receive elsewhere in the country. Importantly, they're also accompanied by dedicated governance structures and special kind of administrative special administrative panels that oversee the administration of the economic activities within the zones. So these kind of special administrative management committees are kind of set up on site in special economic zones. Also at the provincial level in places like Cambodia and in Myanmar, but also at the government level. We have very senior government officials sitting on these panels responsible for keeping investors happy. Now, we'll kind of come back to some of the implications of this later on. But there's significant controversy over SEZs, and there's been a lot of ink spilt on this controversy surrounding SEZs worldwide. So kind of proponents and advocates of SEZs, they boost foreign direct investment into a country, they kind of lead to job creation, they kind of contribute to developing infrastructure, particularly in developing countries which kind of economists say really need this kind of infrastructure, and they help diversify economies. Well, on the other hand, critics say that they entail more costs and benefits, they negatively affect local communities, like mine workers' rights, and cause environmental degradation. And it's basically this kind of controversy and looking at the kind of cases of SEZs in the Mekong that we tried to explore in this report. Over the past 20 or 30 years, dozens of SEZs have already been developed in the Mekong. It's hard to give an up-to-date figure of exactly how many there are, but there's around 60 to 70 that have already been established, and pretty much every week the government somewhere in the region will announce plans to establish more. So over the past couple of weeks we've been hearing about the proposed special economic zones that are being established in Vietnam. So Vietnam already has 18. The protests recently in Vietnam were about providing extra special privileges in these super SEZs that kind of promoted this backlash. And so while we've got plenty in the Mekong, they're particularly, you get SEZs worldwide, but they're particularly numerous in Asia. And Shenzhen SEZ is the one that's often people know about the most. Now, Shenzhen played a kind of a key role in China's open door policy, and its success as a special economic zone has led to other economists and development practitioners promoting the Shenzhen model as a model for development and integration of developing countries into global markets worldwide. But the problem is that many of these SEZs since Shenzhen have failed. They've become white elephants. They've been riddled with corruption, businesses simply haven't invested, or if they have invested, they've been there for a couple of years and then moved on once another country offers better incentives. And so now I'd like to present a very critical conclusion drawn by some erstwhile supporters of SEZs, the Asian Development Bank, that wrote in a recent report assessing the role of SEZs in Asia, published in 2015. Special economic zones have a checkered history. A few have matched or exceeded expectations and contributed substantially to economy-wide development. Several SEZs established in the 70s and 80s were well suited for the times and truly catalytic. Others have remained unplaced, but nevertheless been a source of jobs, exports, and GDP growth. Numerous others have failed. And as we close on the present, successes have become fewer. No SEZ established since the turn of the century has come close to matching the performance of Shenzhen 4 of the zones set up in Taipei, China, and in Malaysia in the 1970s. But hope springs eternal. In spite of lengthening odds against the likelihood of a zone returning an adequate return on investment, policymakers continue to pin their hopes on the potentially galvanizing role of zones and, like venture capitalists the world over, believe that one outstanding success will compensate for a dozen failures. Now, this is no kind of radical anti-capitalist kind of leftist organization writing this. This is the Asian Development Bank. So why are they still promoting path dependency, basically? The SEZs have been developed, they come to play a central role in a model for regional integration and development that the Asian Development Bank has been promoting since 1992, which have upgraded into this kind of economic corridors paradigm in 1996. And since 1996, we start to see this kind of SEZs being applied across the Mekong. They started to really take off in the early 2000s, and now you're seeing this kind of mushrooming pretty much everywhere. So many of you will have heard of these economic corridors: East-West corridor, North-South corridor. These are basically bundles of cross-border infrastructure that are supposed to help integrate economies. The role of SEZs on these corridors is to be strategically placed as nodes. So on border crossing points at ports, in places where you want to kind of encourage a conglomeration of economic activities. Now, the overall aim of the model is to create an environment that is friendly to investment, to liberalize trade, facilitate development, encourage job creation and poverty alleviation. And this kind of economic model is underwritten by neoclassical economic assumptions that by removing barriers to investment and trade, the markets will become more productive and efficient, resources will flow to where they're most needed. This will lead to economic convergence, and economic development will lead to shared prosperity, a much vaunted win-win cooperation. But let me shatter any illusions that you may have. This is a myth. There is no such thing as a free market. As Karl Polanyi, the famous economic historian, argued long ago, governments and markets depend on one another. They're not autonomous. States create and uphold the regulatory, political, legal, and infrastructural conditions under which markets operate and in which capital accumulation occurs. Governments have a role in influencing how profits are distributed. How much goes to those who are putting up the financial capital, to the industrialists who are building the SEZs, to the businessmen running the garment factories that are setting up in SEZs, to the workers who produce stuff and get remunerated in the form of minimum wages, and also to the public through taxation, and also, by the by, to officials through government corruption. Now, actually existing development in the Mekong is not characterized by harmonious cooperation between these different actors, but by a power struggle between different actors with different interests. The state is there to regulate how this kind of power struggle operates, and ideally to try and balance that power struggle so that the outcome is relatively fair to all. But what we've seen in the region and across the world, actually, since the 1980s and 1990s, is investors winning this struggle at the expense of the general public, of the peasants, of the workers, and the environment. And this is resulting in uneven development between the global north and the global south, and between urban areas and between rural areas. And of course, also drastic levels of inequality that people are getting very, very concerned about. SEZs are a part of this trend. As a policy tool, the basic innovation is to allow the security of property rights over valuable land for foreign investors, and to ensure that regulations bend to the interests of capitalists at the expense of environmental protections and labour rights. Now, the central argument of the kind of report is that SEZs are enabling predatory relations between mostly mobile transnational capital and local land and labour across the Mekong. In Cambodia, labour issues are more prominent, while land issues are more significant in Myanmar at the moment, as SEZs are still being developed. Firstly, Cambodia. Cambodia, since 1991, has enthusiastically embraced free markets and private investment, especially in the textile and footwear industries, which now comprise about 80% of its exports. But nationwide protests and civil unrest forced the government to increase the minimum wage from $61 a month in 2013 to $140 a month in 2016. This is still one of the lowest in the region. Bangladesh slightly undercuts it, but a significant rise that has scared government officials in Cambodia. One of the core reasons for the development of SEZs in Cambodia, I argue, is to prevent worker strikes and to undercut this trend towards upward pressure on wages in the country. So workers and union representatives that we spoke to paint a very stark picture of life. I'm halfway through, I'm sorry. I'm going to run over time, I'm sorry. I'm not even going to try to finish quickly. They kind of paint a very stark picture of what life is like in SEZs. Union representatives are prevented from entering to educate and advocate for workers. Labour disputes between workers and employers in the SEZs are conciliated in the first instance by government representatives housed on-site by SEZ developers, and workers claim that these were unfair. So put some slides up here in the interest of trying to keep time down, I won't leave those out. Workers who did become union representatives were intimidated by security staff employed by the SEZ developers. Workers who joined independent unions were blacklisted and prevented from getting work with other businesses who had set up in the SEZ. And when strikes still occurred in the SEZs, the Cambodian army were brought in to suppress the strikes. And I will stop to kind of read out this quote. We used to demand wage increases. They put the containers in front of the SEZ and beat the workers. It happened in 2013. They closed the gate. When something happens inside the SEZ, they put the container to block the road. The workers inside cannot run away. And then the military, police or security have big muscles, and we are very small. Sometimes they use guns. So this was a worker in Cambodia in Phnom Penh SEZ, and these are the gates that he's talking about that they blocked when there are strikes. It's a pretty imposing architecture. Now, rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining are protected under international and domestic law, including Cambodia's constitution. But these rights only exist on paper in the SEZs. The SEZ basically allows the government to keep up appearances and feign compliance with these standards while undermining them in practice. Cambodia's SEZs, in short, have been designed to maintain a disempowered and docile workforce, a resource to exploit rather than one in which to invest. So while labour issues are more prominent in Cambodia's SEZs, land issues are more prominent in Myanmar's at the moment. This is both the case at the local level with land grabbing, where kind of local elites are speculating on property, on land prices by basically kind of getting land titles from the local land offices, despite the fact that local communities have been claimed customary tenure over them, but also at the international level in relation to Myanmar's relations with Myanmar's relations with Thailand and with China. So both Myanmar's neighbouring countries are using SEZs in Due and in Jiaophu to secure access to geostrategically important land. As one respondent put it, Myanmar's SEZs are more about geopolitics than they are about development. By bypassing the congested Malacca Strait, which is increasingly being recognised as a strategic choke point by China, Jiaophu SEZ and Due SEZ will help China and Thailand secure trade routes for imports of energy, oil and gas, as well as exporting manufactured goods to international markets in the West. Due SEZ will also help Thai firms to outsource heavy industry to Myanmar and exploit the country's natural resources, fisheries, liquid natural gas, rubber, agricultural land. So let's take a closer look at why these SEZs are being developed and who benefits. So there are four key issues here, which keep government officials, IFIs, and economists in the same hymn sheet of industrialization, job creation, and development. The first one is this role of SEZs in the regional development, regional integration and development model. So first of all, this is with the GMS, but increasingly also with China's Belt and Road Initiative. So China is going to be pumping significant amounts of capital into what it calls the Mekong Cooperation Mechanism, which basically aims to piggyback on and upgrade this GMS scheme. So Sihanoukville SEZ and Jiapu SEZ in Cambodia and Myanmar are both falling under the Belt and Road Initiative. The stated aim of this is to kind of facilitate development of the region through connectivity and industrialization, but industrialized economies stand far more to gain from these than lesser developed economies such as Myanmar and Cambodia, who can only capture the less profitable parts of the production process and then compete against one another to attract transnational investment, which is increasingly mobile because these corridors have been developed to enable them to be more footloose. So if there's wage increases in Cambodia, garment manufacturers in Phnom Penh will just going to relocate to Jiapu, SEZ, because it's become because that kind of mobility has been facilitated by these economic corridors. So the second reason relates to the issue of infrastructure, both hard and soft. So as Shah was mentioning before, both governments and citizens alike want infrastructure. We want schools, hospitals, transportation, reliable and affordable water and electricity. But industrial land, roads, ports, electrical and water supply associated with SEZs are all built to serve the interests of businesses and transnational investors. They are not there to educate kids or to heal the sick. So this is usually referred to as hard infrastructure, or bricks and mortar. But what is often also underappreciated in SEZs is the importance of the soft infrastructure. This includes their legal and administrative structure. So what distinguishes SEZs from normal industrial zones, what makes SEZs special, is these special regimes of governance and administration. One-stop service centres on site, management committees, dedicated high-level administrative bodies at the central government level. So the aim is to provide special treatment to entice investors, making it easy for them to do business, but in practice what we were hearing is that either by omission or by design, weaknesses in these frameworks are allowing elites to capture and exploit land and labour by undermining protections for the environment, local communities and workers. So a quote from a representative in Cambodia: whether investors are foreigners or locals, they have links with high-ranking officials. So the factories inside the zone don't care about breaking the law. According to the law, every business needs to apply for an environmental permit. But some factories inside the zone do not. We've found some zones, they don't care about the environment. According to the law, a single factory needs to apply for an environmental permit, the waste disposal, liquid and solid, but some factories in the zones just don't care, they just rely on the zone management. So this special government structure centralizes government functions, placing significant power in the hands of public officials, weakening national mechanisms to enforce social and environmental protections. They're not accompanied by appropriate checks and balances. So in Cambodia, for example, every special economic zone in the country must be authorized by the Cambodian Special Economic Zones Board. Investors in SEZs can report anything they like to this board, and the board itself is chaired by the Prime Minister, Hun Sen, giving him enormous influence over the establishment and administration of the SEZs. So there's a quick slide here from Global Witness. So Hun Sen takes home a salary of $13,000 a month, but Global Witness estimated that his family's worth, combined wealth, is around $500 million to $1 billion. How do those sums add up? Quickly, thirdly, infrastructure is an asset class. So SEZs are expensive. They're mega projects. Initial investments to get them up and running range between $2 to $10 billion, and they range from $50 to $90 billion to implement each of them. So who's paying for them? Well, capital is coming from state development agencies in China, Japan, and Thailand, and from private investment. Funds that are investing in SEZs typically have an annual return of 15%, while private venture capital expects a greater return of 20 to 25%. ITD, for example, the company behind Away, sold its 15% share in Namtuk 2 Dam in Laos after 4 months of operation for $50 million profit. It's a 62% return on investment. the Xayaburi Dam in Laos, ITD invested $3.5 billion, on which it receives an annual yield of $450 million. That's 32% return on investment on appreciated capital every year. Now, this capital, these profits, are unlikely to be reinvested in Laos, rather to shareholders here in Bangkok, and kind of extracted from the economy. I'm trying to kind of go as quickly. Want me to stop? Okay, I guess that's the time. Letting go. Okay. So absent strong mechanisms to ensure transparency and accountability, there's a danger that SEZs are further compounding the problem of capture of the state in the region. So this is that state capture is essentially a form of political corruption, where preferential treatment for certain interests is woven into the institutional fabric of the state. Related to this is the grey economy. In a strong fiscal state, a government can levy direct taxation on its citizens, who in turn call for representative institutions and accountable government. In the absence of such a fiscal contract, political elites may rely on grey economies to get the work of the state done. Illicit regimes of extraction and rent-seeking around commodities like gems, drugs, oil and gas, timber, often support systems of political patronage that are not used just for personal enrichment, but also to consolidate political power, allowing people like Hun Sen to build political networks and neutralize or co-opt political opponents. Okay. I'm going as quickly as I can. Can I just do the conclusions? So one core conclusion is that the GMS corridors paradigm is one that enables extraction rather than industrialization. SEZs are coming to play a central role in this paradigm. They may also be helping authoritarian regimes consolidate political power. SEZs are facilitating capitalist expansion through processes of primitive accumulation and accumulation by dispossession. The most value will be realized in the form of corporate profits repatriated to larger economies, such as those in China and Japan, dispersed to shareholders rather than in wages or in tax revenues from host states. Going through quickly. So, received wisdom about the SEZs needs to be changed. Governments and corporations must be accountable for the public for their decisions and business practices. And we need to challenge this development paradigm of industrialization and job creation. So, if jobs are created with decent pay, with good conditions, then great. But if these jobs are created and only sustainable by forced overtime, by denying maternity benefits, by short-term contracts, then what can we solve?
Thank you very much. Sorry to stop, but we have clear rule here, and I want to be sure there is time for discussion after. So please put that down. And women, luckily, are better at keeping their time.
Is about Thailand Eastern Seaboard program and Mataput Industrial Development. Mataput is the name of the area of the first regional development program in Thailand. And ESD and Mataput area is the first special economic area in Thailand, started over 30 years ago. These slides, I will skip many of them because Sherry already talked about what is exact and the impact and the nature of economic power. I prepared these slides to share the experience and information about the special economic zone to our gateway community frame last reset the time too. Since the slide is quite long. This is talking about Eastern Seaboard. Eastern Seaboard is, I said that is the first regional development program try to fulfill Thai government at that time to change Thailand to be the new industrial country or the free tiger economic tiger in the region. It's covered, according to the initial plan, it covered 3 provinces, Coastal Province, Rayong, Jamboree, and Junction. But what I'm going to talk about today is only what happening in Rayong Province. Eastern Seaboard started in Thailand in late 1990. It is to boost up the country economic growth and industrial development with an ambitious aim to turn the country to be the new tiger of the Asian economic power. And this slide is I want to express about the area, the strategic area. The first one is Lam Chabang. Lam Chabang is in Chonburi province. It is the largest deep sea port, commercial port in Thailand. And Maktaput is in Rayong province. Lam Chabang in Chonburi province has been targeted and developed as a light industrial zone, including with the largest deep sea commercial port of the country. But Maktaput area has been targeted to be the largest heavy industrial development zone. The objective of the ESB in Thailand is to increase the competitiveness in the world market. At that time, it distribute both economic activities from Bangkok. The government want to create more even growth distribution for the country and provide alternative for investment and create new labor market. For Lam Chabang, they have plan to construct not only the deep sea port but the large area of the industrial warehouse, industrial estate, and there are some power plants being constructed in Lam Chabang to provide energy and electricity for the industrial development. I will skip some slides which is too much detail, but I think this might be boring for you. This is the structure of administration of the special economic zone in SEZ at that time. In Thailand, there are very long levels of the administrative to develop the country, particularly to allow the economic development. But in Rayong province, Chonburi province, and Junction province under the ESB, all of the structure of economic investment and administration. It is the shortcut to promote economic and industrial investment in this area. So when the cabinet want to promote investment, there are the direct order from the cabinet to every ministry at that time. So they don't need to follow the normal practice of the economic order. This slide is shows about the proportion of the investment in Eastern Seaboard Development Area, which is most of the investment come from the private sector, and around one of four proportion come from the government. And Japan at that time, the ODA from Japan played the most important role to provide support of the industrial investment for the Eastern Seaboard area. is the largest in the Rayong province. It is the largest GDP production, but at present Rayong province is called as the largest pollution hotspot and the large area of natural resource damage that Thai government don't want to talk about them. There are more than, at present there are more than 200 large factories located in Rayong province. These largest factories located in at least 6 industrial estates planned by Thai government. Most of the industrial parks are petrochemicals, or those coal power, iron and steel, chemical, and lots of high pollution industrial parks in this area. But altogether in Rayong province there are more than 2,000 factories because there are more than 1,000 factories located out of the industrial estate. This is the map that put in around 35 years ago. When we talk about development in Magdabut or in Eastern Seaboard area with our the way friends, when we visit the way city, at the way right now, it is like these photographs, pictures, and there are many rice fields and lots of garden, orchard. Magdabut area also similar to the way in the present time. But when industrial development came in, all the rural area or rice field or many garden or agricultural farm has been changed to the large industrial area. This is the Magdabut deep sea port and industrial estate at present. You see that there are many oil tanks farm and chemical tanks farm located on the lithium area. The deep sea port or industrial sea port located or constructed on the lithium land, which is a very large area. This is the size of the petrochemicals complex, the largest petrochemical complex. The development area in Magdabut start from the very small purple color, but during the past 3 decades, the purple area has expanded together. There are many communities and temples who or government house or government located areas have been relocated because of the expansion of the industrial estate. My organization conduct several research about environmental and health impact in this area since 2000. We start from talking with the local people to do the pollution mapping and the impact in 25 local communities living or surrounding in the industrial estates. This is the Magdabut industrial estate, and there are the new industrial estate located here. Both are petrochemical largest zone, and you see several orange and red dots. It refers to many types of pollution impact or the problems, environmental problems or natural resource damage that happening to the local people. In the radius of around 10 kilometers, the air pollution can do harm to the local people who even live far away from the hot zone of the industrial area. During we conduct the research at that time, we found altogether not or more than 20 types of problems happening in the local people in the area and affect the local people. These are part of the problems that we found, like the destruction of natural resources, air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, health damage, and chemical accidents. The chemical accidents often happen even today. Each year there are many chemical accidents happening along the road or the construction site or even inside and outside the factories. Social problems is also serious or the severe one. There are lots of like a left or accident or theft or many social disintegration happening in because of there are the movement of many types of labor and immigration labor in this area. So there are lots of conflict happening between the native people and the migrant workers. Crimes also have happened in this area. And local economy and livelihood is the big problem. The local communities in Mataput area are poorer. Why? With the high expense on health cost because of many people that we interview, they became sick or got some kinds of disease that even they don't know what kind of disease that happened to their family member. But they have to go to the hospital every month. So the native residents in this area, they have to pay much to maintain or to heal their health. Why the agricultural area has been totally damaged. The big problem in this area is the contamination of the water, particularly the groundwater. 25 communities who live along in this area, they used to use the shallow well water because at that time that we conduct the research, there have not been the tap water service to the community, so they have to use the shallow well water. But since the air pollution and the contamination of chemicals along the surface water and the groundwater, they cannot use the water at that time. Why the tap water cannot access to the community, so they have to pay higher cost for the water consumption. This school located at the fence of the Mataput Industrial Estate, and more than thousands of students, young students and the teachers are badly affected by air pollution. Finally, the Ministry of Education has a special order to relocate the school from Salau 5 kilometers far west from the industrial estate. The erosion, the coastal erosion also is a big problem. Along more than 15 kilometers of the coastal area eroded by the deep sea construction. And this is they have to repair the erosion. We also have air pollution study, and we found lots of chemicals in the air. At least around more than 40 or 55 volatile organic compounds in the air that cause very health impact to the people. And this is the follow-up of the shallow well water contaminated by pollution of chemical. Industrial waste dumping is also the big issue. There are many studies about the health and environmental impact in this area, like the National Health Commission also conducted a study, and you see that this is the Mataput Industrial Estate. All of the people living in this area have very impacted by the air pollution. This is photograph about the chemical accident. This is the air quality boundary, the Pollution Control Department have to conduct monitoring. There are many information that we cannot share today under the short term. But the big problem at present is about Thailand with the new special economic zone. Now, in around 2003, the civil society, the royal and academic, then launched the big protest against the special economic law, the draft law at that time. And we succeeded to stop that draft law. But just last year, the Thai government has passed a new law about the special economic zone in the eastern regions of Thailand that we call EEC law. They try to put more investment into Rayong province, Chonburi province, and Chachoengsao province. And at the same time, Thai government also initiate 10 new special economic zone in the 10 province. So this is the issue that in Thailand we have to discuss about how we can stop some more investment, particularly the hazardous industrial or high pollution industrial investment in this area. We have networked with several communities in the Rayong province, Chonburi province, and in other 10 provinces across the border of Thailand to set up what we call SEZs watch and EEC watch, which is going to try to initiate some monitoring and campaign activity to stop some investment and to protect the human rights as well as to protect the environment under this zone. So thank you.
It's very concrete example of the impact of environmental and health impact of special economic zone. I open immediately the floor. Please keep the question short. The answer also very short. Thank you. So we have 2 rounds. Let's get that. 1, 2 more. Please.
Just quick question. My name is Ben Harkins. I work with the International Labour Organization. The new SEZs that are being established in Thailand, I don't know if this has been stated as an objective, but it seems very clear that one of the objectives is to make use of migrant workers in those SEZs, but to keep them in the periphery of Thailand rather than letting them enter to central Thailand. I was wondering if anyone had any comments on what you think of this sort of new model for SEZs in Thailand.
Good evening, my name is Nathan. I'm a master student in MACE program at Mekong University, and I'm from Vietnam also. When we look at FEZ, I wonder if it's a consumption when you look at the first one who proposed and also passed the law on SEZ, and at the same time the law to control civil communication, political communication, and cybersecurity is Thailand. Then the second one is on the proposal is Myanmar, and now Vietnam just passed a very controversial, would cause massive protest about the new socio-economic zone, also the cybersecurity law, and Cambodia on the next step proposed similarly also. And it would be fair we look from the perspective where they're trying to promote so what they call digital economies and more in a sustainable way. But my question is, do you think it's some sort of race to the bottom by provinces, compete with provinces, country for compete with countries, and at the same time, the question here is what all of these are relevant for what, like we also blame China and Japan for everything, but then at the end of the line, who all of this consumption going to work? And this is another version of the development paradigm challenging. Like we challenge the production line, and why don't we also challenging the consumption models also?
Thank you. My name is Nathan Aronson. I'm an international commercial lawyer. My question is to both of you. It's kind of two halves. You mentioned that, I was doing the numbers in my head, it was about $500 billion, I guess, with the ADB, the Belt and Road Initiative, the Silk Road Fund, kind of all that stacked up together is about, I guessed about $500 billion of finance, mostly by China. New sort of relationship financially amongst these countries in which a country can invest in another country and then force that country to basically not change its laws on what that country's investment is going into? I mean, is that a new dynamic that we have not seen in other SEZ projects around the world?
The questions about the worker, the migrant worker, and the policy of Thai government. I think it is quite difficult to say because in Thailand now, even that we have the 10 special economic zone at the border province, and Thai government try to reorganize the migrant worker issue in Thailand and try to raise the standard of the worker situation, particularly the migrant worker from our neighboring country. However, under the new law, the EEC law, the factories or the investors can import the worker into Thailand, and they try to rearrange special administrations about the labor issue and employment. I'm not sure whether my answer is clear enough, but in the special economic province, like the 10 province and the EEC, like Rayong, Chonburi, and Chachoengsao, there are the special administration about the labor employment, and they try to promote both the migrant worker or the low wage worker and the specialist employment into this zone.
Governance of those investments.
Sorry, when you were speaking your question, I was translating from your question. So, I mean, the comment that you made, I was translating from so she didn't hear your question. Can you want to repeat it or?
I think his question.
Yeah, so first on the labor thing, I think that is a conscious government policy, but it's not only government policy. I think one of the big impacts of this type of massive mega infrastructure investment that we're seeing is, of course, expropriation of land, land grabbing. So it's a capture of land and territory, etc., etc. And then, if you do read documents by the Asian Development Bank and so on, one of their arguments for expanding the economic corridors the way they are and developing economic corridors into full-fledged investment corridors is that those who are displaced from land-based occupations, which is majority of the people in this region, would then be captured by quote-unquote employment nodes, which will prevent them flooding cities. So I mean, I won't go into the details, but these documents do exist, and you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to put, two and two together to try and figure out that there is a certain very deeply entrenched or deeply embedded class sort of thinking here. So this is at least my take on it. In the interest of time, I'll keep it short, but I want to talk more about it since you're from the ILO. It would be interesting to do, because I think that it's a conscious strategy, a way you keep people, who stays at the center, who stays at the periphery, who has access to what resources, who has what, and those types of things. On your question, one thing that I wasn't able to say because I was trying to keep to the time was that, these investment things that we're seeing are happening in the context of bilateral, regional, and global trade and investment agreements. Okay? And in those, so if you look at this region, for example, it's at the ASEAN Economic Community. In that, there's at least 5 or 6 very key agreements. One of them is the ASEAN Comprehensive Investment Agreement. If you just read that agreement, you'll find it online. You will see what it demands of all investing countries. So all this is legal. So bilateral investment treaties and bilateral trade treaties, what are called the new generation treaties, because the trade treaties also can contain non-investment. These treaties, these agreements have in them what is called policy coherence. So if I'm giving you certain tax rebates and land appropriation, etc., if Ben invests in my country, I have to give them the same. All this then is also repackaged into the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So investor-state dispute or investor protection that happens at a bilateral level, happens at a regional level, happens at a global level. I mean, this was the policy coherence that I was trying to get at. So, and all this is legal. I mean, nobody sees we might see a problem. But what I'm saying is that policymakers and negotiators don't see a problem. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's actually what is happening. We can talk for a mistake. I just wanted to do something.
So I guess I'll respond to the question about the migrant workers. So before I did this study, I was working on a study on MESOL, Special Economic Zone, and I'm actually teaching a class next week on the political and historical background in the MESOL, Special Economic Zone. And the kind of establishment of the SEZ there, let them remain. If we don't have migrant workers, if you're cracking down on these migrant workers and you're causing them to flee, we have to close our factories and we don't make any money. So you've got industrialists kind of pressuring the government to allow portions, basically, to try to come to some kind of compromise between these capitalists and between these security officials. So somewhere like Mekong has informally functioned as a special economic zone since the 1990s. You go down to the river, go down to the Moy River, and people can cross with the 20 part. You can see the security forces kind of letting it happen. As soon as they can come in, they can work in the factories, but as soon as they try to get a bus out and to come to Bangkok, they'll get kind of taken off the bus, they'll go into immigration, and then they'll be booked back over the river to pay somebody to bring them back over again. With the SEZ, it's basically a formalization of that. So again, this kind of rejection of the idea that there's still this kind of draw to bring them into places like Patupani, the Eastern Economic Corridor, by establishing the policy structure and the infrastructure of the Mekong. It's one way of kind of having that compromise between capitalists and the security forces. With the question about the special economic zones laws, as well as some of the restrictions on freedom of expression. One of the interesting things is that the kind of ASEAN leaders learn from one another. It's like a meme that gets shared on Facebook. As soon as somebody comes up with a really bad policy idea that seems to make people a lot of money, that spreads. I mean, these kind of ASEAN summits, I don't know what they talk about there, but I imagine it's something to do with, well, how can we restrict people's freedom of expression a little bit more? How can we kind of increase even economic capacity of the country? And you're right. It's completely. It's not just the leaders. It's not just investment coming from kind of China. It's also about consumption. It's also about practices that you and I take part in when it comes to what kind of food we buy, what kind of if we buy. I'm just kind of returning these kind of earphones that I bought from Lazada, 150 baht. I thought they were great. I'm returning them because they were really crappy. Something simple as that. These kind of electronic items are made in these special economic zones. And unless, as individuals, we start to kind of reconsider that fundamental kind of drive to consume, we kind of scream and rail against these authoritarian governments and these kind of exploitative investment practices, but we also have an individual responsibility.
So this is a good conclusion before the last round. What can we do? I think this is the question, right? Also, the last week, I think with that, we are so overwhelmed with what is going on and not understanding fully, especially I'm very much interested in the investment part, because indeed, follow the money is a very good way of finding out what really happens, but as it becomes more and more complex, then for layperson is. And then I think the research also show the impact are very serious. So what can be done about this? One is, of course, as consumer, what kind of pressure can you put? But maybe we need to indeed start to focus more on the what can be done rather than analyzing the problem, although we don't know all the aspects of the problem yet. So please, the last round, very, very, very short. 1 and 2. Last, one more? No? Okay, then these two are the last. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Tian and I'm from Vietnam. Thank you everyone for the presentation. It's all very great to learn from the experience about the special economic zones. So yeah, my questions focus on because the funding from ADB with the GMS already been in the Mekong region for a long time, but there's maybe less concern than the upcoming policy with Belt and Road initiatives. So what's the difference between what you see the characteristic of Chinese investment and what's the administrative of the special economic zone, because it's now there's a lot of foreign investment, and it's not only about heavy industry, it's also about casino and all kinds of airport and other kind of entertainment that we see in Sierra Leone in Cambodia. So what kind of administrative and what kind of any policy that protect the people or protect the human rights in those areas? Thank you.
I'm hearing from our speaker from last week.
Hello. Yes, my question is also about how to protect the people. What is the potential for civil society? Civil society is being largely squashed in Cambodia at the moment. It's been fairly inactive in Thailand for the last 5 years. In terms of the ESP, you talked about demonstrations against that, and now we have the EEC. There's been very little potential for civil society in Thailand in the last 5 years, and the EEC has grown up at that time. Vietnam is very limited in what they can do. So I'm interested in the focus on the global south. You've done this work, and where does Earth focus on the global south and other civil society organizations go from here?
Let's start from the global south and then...
Wow, the global south, all of it. Yeah. Well, just to put in context, this study is one of the studies we've done. We do a lot of work like this, right? And not in the Mekong region, but in other places too. And what we do is, in terms of supporting people to be able to assert their rights and reclaim their rights, one of the things that we do is work as much as possible with directly affected peoples. So we work a lot with unions, we work with grassroots movements, we work with peasant organizations and fisher folk, etc. Because very often the voice that's missing in policy dialogue is of those who are directly affected. NGOs tend to take up a lot of space. Because NGOs have voice, NGOs enter into stakeholder meetings, multi-stakeholderism, NGOs engage with the policy initiatives of the big financial institutions, etc., etc. And the thing is, you see, they're not on the front line. NGOs move from one job to another, many of them. But grassroots movements, people that local communities can't. When they lose their land, they lost it, right? And when workers are fired on, that's it. They lost it, right? What else do they do? Where else will they go, right? And it's true that civil society, quote unquote, has been very disempowered in many places. But people haven't stopped protesting or resisting or articulating. And it would be it's very important to look at who is leading the resistance. Those who lead the resistance are literally at the front lines of their fights. Because it's life for them. No, land is life, work is life, but for very different reasons, no? So where NGOs will back off, workers will keep moving. Why? Why will they keep protesting? Because that's their life for them. And the same that we see that, so if you go to Cambodia, who really is leading, who comes out of the streets, who blocks the bulldozers, who stands outside the PM's house and says, you don't do this anymore. It's the local people who are really affected. Focus is also an NGO, so I don't want to I'm not saying all of us are that, they're not that way. It's just that I think we also need to be more nuanced here in terms of who we work with in terms of building up resistance and building up, supporting people's rights and so on. So I think that's a very important issue. So what we would suggest to do in terms of policy work, responding to what Tina was saying, was actually bring things that are in the dark into the light. So knowledge is power. So get as much information and get it out there, get local people, communities, affected people to be involved in the production of knowledge. What they're saying should not just be an anecdote or a testimony in a box, but that should form the basis of policy assessments, no? So people's knowledge, their experiences has to come out. That's what we should be taking and making as our policy advocacy. So one is that whole part of the knowledge production. And the other, of course, is building in spaces for people to be able to use that knowledge, So building knowledge and agency to act. We can talk more about this later, but I did the interest of time.
I have two points to share with all of you. The first one is about the management mechanism. According to this rise, you will see that when the government or the ministerial talk about the special economic zones, particularly, like for example, in ASEAN region, there are no committees about environment and social, particularly the community livelihood and social aspect. So this is on the process that the civil society and academics, some people try to negotiate that the special economic zone in ASEAN should include mechanisms about the social aspect, health aspect. Health also non-exist into the mechanism. Environment and the labor right. The labor right. For example, in Thailand, they have the bad experience about the labor right violation. As Sherry says about the labor union issue, in special economic zone in Rayong province, the labor union not around to establish, and many workers have been fined when they have tried to initiate to set up the labor union in Rayong province and in Rayong and Kimberley province. This is the example that no mechanism to protect environment, natural resource, health, and the labor. So this is what we have to do together to negotiate and to include some mechanism into the special economic zone in ASEAN. Civil society law. I also come from civil society and try to do something to help or to support our friends, for example, in Myanmar or in Cambodia, we try to share the experience about the industrial pollution and the violation of the community rights to our Myanmar friends. The issue is, I think, very important is to share the knowledge and try to help try to launch some experience exchange, skill sharing, or to provide some education to our friends in neighboring countries. For example, Thai society, some of society, some of the civil society group in Thailand, like the Way Watch, our friend also attend this meeting today, and some other organizations, they try to organize workshops, skill sharing workshop or experience exchange between Thai people and the Way people, or in other some cities that the Myanmar government has the policy to develop the special economic zone. This is part of the civil society laws that try to support each other. But I think the try to negotiate or try to strengthen negotiation process at the policy decision-making level is also important. But for this approach, we need several support and have to work together with economics. The role of the academics in different areas also very important. For example, the labor rights, economics expert, or the human rights issues. Media and journalists also important to do this role. So I think special economic zone and the policy to promote special economic zone not only in Thailand but in many countries. The ASEAN is the big issue now, and not only the civil society. I think every sector of the society have to work together. It is very dangerous if we allow this kind of policies to develop and grow up in the ASEAN region. So this is part of the activity or the idea that I can share to all of you, that it is the duty of it is the law of everyone try to do something about the special economic zone.
Just to respond to the question from Tien about the difference between Chinese investment and APB investment. One of the interesting things about the SEZ, these kind of special governance administrative structures that have been set up, is that within the very kind of fabric of the legal fabric that governs zones, to take like the Myanmar Special Economic Zone law, for example, there's several different articles in there with provisions and protections for investors. Nothing about human rights, nothing about protection for rights of local communities, and nothing in terms of dispute resolution mechanisms between workers and employers, or between local communities and SEZ developers. So there's kind of lack of accountability and this inability to be able to have access and to kind of seek funding progress is actually being woven into the very fabric of things. With Cambodia and with Japanese investment and with previous investment in Southeast Asia, there's been civil society that's mobilized and has managed to kind of win some kind of concessions. There's a whole new challenge with the Chinese. So an NGO in Myanmar was telling to me that was saying to me, look, we know that if there's an American company investing in field on SEZ and there are certain violations in terms of land grabbing, we can go to the American embassy, we can kind of submit a complaint, and the American embassy will then report it back to the company which is based in the US. No such mechanisms exist for the Chinese. If you go to the Chinese embassy, apparently they have standards, but they're all written in Mandarin. We can't read them. The companies don't follow them. There's no mechanism for actually to report on this. So there's a whole new challenge coming with that. Quickly speaking to the issue of civil society, I think one of the really interesting things coming out of this research for me was just seeing how successful the transnational activism and solidarity between Thai civil society and Douay civil society has been. I think the reason why Douay SEZ has not yet been developed, the reason why it's taken so long, the reason why ITD have been losing so much money on this has a lot to do with the hard work of civil society organisations here in Thailand and in Douay. And I think that's a really important beacon of hope for how communities and civil society across the region can actually do something to resist this. Now, resistance doesn't just have to be staying with bulldozers. There's other forms, other ways that civil society, communities, workers, farmers can start to resist some of these projects. And I think it's important for people to see that there's a common there are common experiences, there are common reasons why people's land is being taken away, there's a common reason why workers are being dispossessed of their lands. And once they start to recognize similar struggles being faced in Cambodia, as the struggles being faced in Myanmar, as those being faced in Laos and being faced in Vietnam, once people start to realize that there's a common cause here, they can start to recognize a common cause, recognize some sense of transnational solidarity, and mobilize to resist some of these practices.
So we are going to end with some little bit optimistic view that we can do something about, and I think one maybe lesson is to really be careful about where the money is coming from and from where, because it could be China, which we see, but beyond China maybe France or some other investor. That the money from the Chinese bank or the Asia Development Bank is not only coming from China, right? It's coming from many, including European countries, Australia, America, etc. So the first advice is to really study where the money is coming from and target its strategy. The second, I think, is exchange across countries of East Asia, and this is very much in the spirit of Junction, of course. So it's a good way of ending this meeting and celebrating the second anniversary of Junction, which will continue tomorrow also with the bazaar and a special